Hi people, it's me, Anja. My pronouns are she and her, and welcome back to my channel for a new reading vlog. As you've seen in the title, my family and I are currently traveling in Hawaii, and I just wanted to quickly address that straight up, because I feel like if I were a viewer and I noticed that I was a tourist in Hawaii, a place that has been illegally occupied by the United States, and a place where the indigenous people of Hawaii have been mistreated so badly over the past decades and decades and decades. And I'm not trying to justify the assimilation or the racism that the indigenous people of Hawaii have faced. I feel like if I were a viewer, knowing all of that, knowing the history and the context and the culture and everything, and knowing that I've said before that I'm pro-Palestine and I stand with the indigenous people of Palestine, I feel like me being here might be interpreted as like me like going against everything that I've stood for in the past. I don't really know if that makes any sense, but I just wanted to address it straight on at the very beginning of this video. I'm not trying to justify any of that, any of the history, any of the culture, any of the context of which the indigenous people have been treated in the past, in the present as well, by the United States. I'm not trying to justify the exploitation or anything like that. So yes, I stand with the indigenous people of Hawaii, as well as in Palestine, as well as anywhere elsewhere, everywhere in the world. So yes, I just wanted to quickly clarify and address that straight on in the beginning, because I feel like if I were to ignore it, it would come across again as performative allyship. And also, I just wanted to clarify that also, like, I'm not trying to address this in the hopes of like escaping the wrath or the disappointment or the possibility of like a betrayal or anything of like an audience or anything like that. I just wanted to quickly like address it straight on. So anyway, I don't know if any of that makes any sense, and of course people can respond however they want to respond, but yes, I am currently in Hawaii as a tourist, and I am really excited to be here. I think that indigenous culture and the history and everything is so interesting and so fascinating, and I want to learn more about it. But yes, I am here as a tourist. So yes. Anyway, as this is a reading vlog, I should tell you what I'm currently reading. I'm currently reading Legendborn, which is a YA urban fantasy that, if you've been a viewer of me for a really long time, you would know that I rated this book 3 stars back in 2020, but I decided to give it a second chance now, 4 years later, because first of all, I don't quite remember the plot of this book. I know that it's a YA urban fantasy, like I said, following a black main character who's trying to investigate what the heck happened to her mom, who like died 3 months ago, and it has to do with like secret societies. Maybe it's related to magic, it's related to like the Arthur legend, which is a legend that I don't really know a whole lot about either. And like, don't get me wrong, I'm afraid that I will enjoy this book just as much as I did the first time. Which, the first time, first of all, I was not informed that it's an urban fantasy and not high fantasy. But second of all, I remember the world building being really like info dumping and kind of confusing. And don't get me wrong, like, I'm 30% of this book so far, and I just passed the scene where William explained everything to her. And yeah, it's a little info dumping. I'm a little confused already, but I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued as to what happened to her mom. I'm not really interested in the love triangle, if I'm being completely honest, because right now Sal is so annoying. Like, shut up. You're so like angry and broody, and like maybe when I was younger that was like super intriguing, like by the bad boy or whatever, but now I don't care. I don't care about Sal at all. Nick is like the golden retriever, like the contrast to him. I'm intrigued as to why there's beef between them. I think I know, because like parts of this book is coming back to me. I guess this is a bit of a spoiler for those who haven't read it, but like I think it has to do with the fact, and I can't remember which one of them it is, but I think, from what I remember, one of them is bisexual and one of them has a crush on the other one. And I have a feeling that it's Sal, and I have a feeling that Nick doesn't know that. So anyway, I think that has to do with it. But anywho, all that to say, I am the most intrigued by the plot, the world. Anyway, I don't know why I was cut off, but as I was explaining, parts of this book is coming back to me. I think the reason why there's beef between Sal and Nick has to do with the fact that, and I guess this is a spoiler, but from what I remember, one of them is bisexual and has a crush on the other one, and I have a feeling that it's Cell and he has a crush on Nick, and Nick maybe doesn't know that. But like, anyway, as for the love triangle and whether or not I ship either one of them with Blee, I simply don't care. I'm the most intrigued by the mystery regarding her mom and the magic and why she's so special, and I have a feeling that there is going to be the chosen one trope incorporated in this. Anyway, all that to say, I am a little bit afraid that like giving this book a second chance won't necessarily be worth it, because of course there's a chance that like I'm going to enjoy it just as much as I did the first time, which was 3 stars. And also I felt really isolated in my disappointment of it in 2020 because everyone around me was like rating it 4 and 5 stars and I didn't. But anyway, all that to say, I am intrigued as to what will happen next. Like I said, I'm a third of the way into this book. So yeah. Hi people, it's been like 4 hours since the last time I talked to you, I believe. And I'm currently 72% through Legendborn. I've also come to the realization that in the first half of the book, maybe the fact that the world building seemed really overwhelming to me was on purpose, because to Blee, like not much time has passed and she's like encountering and discovering all these new emotions, these new memories that she hasn't had time yet to truly deal with or navigate. So naturally her anger and her frustrations like make sense to me. You know what I mean? Does that make any sense? Anyway, I am still really enjoying this book. I love this mystery of her mom. I love all this magical world building. I love the diversity. I think it's so intentional that she's Black. I love the Black girl magic to it all, the Black side of history and the context, and all the stuff that she learned with Patricia. I think that all of that is really well done. Between Cell and Nick, Cell is a way more interesting character than Nick is. Like way more interesting. I just learned about his backstory concerning his mom and everything. Nick is just kind of there. Like between the two boys, he's like the more happier, lighthearted contrast to this broody, angry guy. Does that make any sense? As for the love triangle, as for the romance, I don't really care for it. For one thing, it did happen faster than I was really expecting. But like, I think that that's, again, on purpose, because this is book 1 of a trilogy, right? Like, I think this series is a trilogy, correct me if I'm wrong. I think book 3 comes out next year? Maybe the year after? I'm not sure. I'm not sure exactly how much time there was between book 1 and book 2. I also downloaded book 2 on Libby, by the way, so that I can read these 2 stories like back to back. Because sometimes when I'm entering a sequel, I don't really remember what happened in book 1. For example, I recently DNF'd the second son because I don't really remember what happened between that and the third daughter, because it's been like more than 6 months, maybe a year. Anyway, the point is, I think that I'm going to rate this book 4 stars. I'm not completely sure. I'm weighing between a 3-star and a 4-star, but like right now I would say it's pretty good. I definitely understand like why people love it so much, especially since this book came out in 2020. 2020, where like police brutality, George Floyd was at an all-time high. Not that that stopped, obviously, with the recent death of Sonia Massey, I believe is her name. And everything, like Black people needed a book to escape into, a book of comfort, a book that like validated their frustration and their angers at the time. And now that I'm reading this, I'm reading it with a new like nuance, a new lens, if that makes any sense. Anyway, Black fantasies need to be told. They are incredibly so important for representation, for comfort, for relatability. Like Tracy Deonn is so talented. I love the dichotomy that she's created between the order and like the rootcraft magic, if that makes any sense. And it's so fascinating and it's so good. Blee is such an understandable character. I definitely understand her emotions, her anger, her frustrations, and her relationship with her mom and everything. Alice also is a good character. Logically, I understand why Cell didn't like her at first. Like, the reasons as to why Cell and Sydney, for example, don't like Blee is completely understandable and it's completely logical. As to why Vaughn dislikes her just seems like racism, pure racism. He's a dick, you know what I mean? Cell isn't as much. Anyway, I don't know if that makes any sense at all, but basically, I'm enjoying this book much more than I was really expecting to, much more than I did the first time. I am definitely understanding though that like the world building is kind of confusing. I can't quite explain it to like a non-reader, a person that hasn't read this before, so that I definitely understand as to why like that was so confusing the first time 4 years ago. So anyway, all that to say, I'm enjoying this much more than I was expecting. Hi people, so it's been several hours since I talked to you last. First of all, I finished Legendborn and I thought it was really good. I rated it 4 stars. The characters are so well developed and so distinct. The world building is absolutely so excellent, so magical. I loved the plot twist towards the end. The one about Evan towards the end, I didn't see it coming, but mostly because I wasn't really thinking about the fact that there's a mole involved. You know what I mean? I just thought that Cell was being paranoid about Blee, but I did not think that his paranoia was just misplaced, if that makes any sense. But anyway, the plot is so engaging and so intriguing, so action-packed, so fast-paced. I love Blee as a main character. Like I said before, her emotions make so much sense and they're so authentic. The world building is excellent. This book is definitely worth all of its hype and so much more. And with that said, I'm now a third through the sequel, Bloodmarked, which first of all, who's on the cover? Who is behind Blee? Is that supposed to be Cell? I'm kind of confused. But anyway, the world building so far is very good. It's much easier to understand now that like I understand the basics, if that makes any sense. Like I said earlier, the third book in this trilogy comes out next year, next March. I'm so excited to read it now. This series is quite good, and I'm really enjoying how the author has like amped up the stakes and everything like that. Like it makes so much sense. I just really like it. I prefer it actually so far to the first book. So anyway, that's my update so far. Hi people, I'm not quite sure how much time has passed since the last time I talked to you, but anyway, I finished Bloodmarked. I thought it was so good. I'm so excited for book 3. As for my predictions, I don't usually make predictions for sequels if I'm being completely honest, but like, first of all, Alice better be alive. Second of all, as for the love triangle, I know I said at the very beginning of this video that I don't really care who Blee chooses, because at the time with book 1, I was way more interested in the magic and the world building and the mystery concerning her mom and how it all relates together, which was true when I was reading book 1. But now with book 2, now that I've finished it, now that Blee has kissed both of them, I don't really care still who exactly she chooses at the end, because they're both such strong contenders. However, romantically, I think the author might choose Nick over Cell. I'm not quite sure, because now she's spent like an equal amount of time with both of them, because beforehand, like with previous love triangles and previous YA fantasy series or YA contemporary series, it's usually so obvious by the end of the second book who the character is going to choose based on how much time she spends with either one. You know what I mean? I don't know. I haven't read a good solid series in a really long time with a good solid love triangle with a good solid contenders, because typically in the past it's usually so obvious who the author favors. But anyway, all that to say, this book was a really, really solid sequel. I love the friendship individually between Alice and Blee, as well as between Cell and Nick. Like, the scenes with all of her ancestry and like seeing her mom again and stuff was so well done and really, really special. This book is so good. Like I said, book 3 comes out in March, and I will probably do a dedicated reading vlog to it, maybe give you more updates in between. Although in March, the new Hunger Games book comes out, and I will definitely be doing a reading vlog dedicated to that book as well, because I'm so excited. I already know that I'm gonna rate it 5 stars, the new Hunger Games book, not specifically Oathbound or whatever it's called. So anyway, with that said, Bloodmarked was so good. I rated it 4 stars. I really, really enjoyed it. I think that it's better than Legendborn, and with that said, I would definitely highly, highly recommend it. So first of all, fun fact, when I was younger and I only like consumed booktube as a viewer, I didn't really enjoy reading vlogs that were longer than 15 minutes. But as a booktuber, as I've created my own reading vlogs, I've started to realize that like I've got a lot of shit to say. So anyway, this is the end of this video. I'm not quite sure how many videos I'm going to make while being here, just because first of all, I want to save some books for myself and for some like recent reads videos to film when I get back home. And also second of all, more importantly, I don't want to film every single day of this trip just so that I don't burn myself out like I did when I went to Iceland a few years ago. I almost said Ireland, but that was a few weeks ago. Anyway, all that to say, this video was very much fun to film, even though it's only over the course of like one day. But like Bloodmarked and Legendborn were both so good, so excellent. I love the characters so much. I really appreciated how Blee at the end of it gained the trust of like so many people. Like she's so cool and she's so awesome. But I also really appreciated like the references to like real life and the ways in which like she's perceived as a Black woman in America, and also all of the Black cultural references, especially concerning like her magic and everything. I don't know if any of that makes any sense, but basically so far the series is really, really solid. It's so good. Tracy deserves all of her flowers and so much more. Like I said before, I'm so excited for book 3. I have no idea what will happen next, but I'm very, very intrigued, especially concerning Stella's mom and everything. So anyway, all that to say, this series is absolutely so excellent and so good, like I said earlier. But anyway, third of all, if you enjoyed this video, please don't hesitate to give it a big thumbs up. Comment down below the snowflake emoji if you made it all the way to the end of the video. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to my channel if you're new. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye.